the champion for nonviolent cause for freedom in this country.
Rafiq Rahim helps us understand why we march and hold on to King's dream.
Well, he preached about freedom for everybody, which is really good.
Being a conviction that there are some things so dear, some things so precious, some things so eternally true that they are worth dying for.
Don Williams, News 4, New York.
If Dr. King had lived, he would have celebrated his 64th birthday last Friday. That's News 4 at 5. We thank you for watching. The news continues.
And straight ahead as we continue for you on News 4 at 6, the Allies unleash another bombing raid over Iraq. Planes hit no-fly zones in the north and the south. The airstrikes come just 2 days before Bill Clinton's inauguration, while Washington celebrates the transition. And a tragic train crash in Gary, Indiana. 2 commuter trains collided head-on.
This is WNBC for New York.
Good evening. Waves of Allied warplanes bombed Iraq again with only 48 hours left as Commander-in-Chief President Bush says he may order more raids. The planes hit the no-fly zones in Iraq. Residents of Baghdad protested yesterday's missile attacks. The Pentagon admits a Tomahawk missile hit a hotel in Baghdad. Steve Handelsman has the latest now from Washington.
Good evening from across from the White House, high above the White House on our inaugural perch. And the closer we get to the inauguration, seemingly the hotter gets this U.S. conflict with Iraq. Bill Clinton, who's here in Washington preparing for the inauguration, doing everything he can to try to back down Saddam. And George Bush today proved again that he's willing to hit Saddam right up to Wednesday. With just 2 days left in his face-off with his archenemy, George Bush came back from Camp David, thanked coalition members and U.S. pilots.
They did the right thing. We did the right thing. And I, again, thank our new president for his strong support. There's no division on this question at all.
Bill Clinton had been briefed before the latest attacks and afterwards today warned Saddam that he too might launch air raids.
The policy of this country will remain American policy after January 20th.
Today's attack was a daylight raid by U.S. and British bombers based in Saudi Arabia, backed by French fighters and U.S. Navy warplanes from the Kitty Hawk. They went back and bombed Iraqi anti-aircraft missiles and control bunkers in the southern no-fly zone that were missed last Wednesday. They all got back safely, and U.S. pilots were pleased with their slap at Saddam.
Glad you had fun, man. He signed up to the UN sanctions and what he was going to live by. He's not been doing that. There's no doubt that this should send him a message.
Another message 2 hours later. A U.S. F-4 attacked a radar site in northern Iraq. But the new U.S. belligerency got a black eye from this. 2 killed and Baghdad's Al Rashid Hotel damaged by what Pentagon officials admit today was a U.S. Tomahawk cruise missile. Here's how the hit looked. It was a cruise missile aimed at an Iraqi nuclear complex. But once it got near Baghdad, officials say it was struck and sent off course by the same kind of furious Iraqi anti-aircraft fire that filled the sky over Baghdad today. Saddam offered a huge reward to gunners who bring down American planes or missiles, and he's refusing to back down. So with the inauguration now the day after tomorrow, it seems increasingly likely that Bill Clinton may have to share his big headlines with this conflict with Iraq. I'm Steve Handelsman reporting live from the White House. Back to you.
Steve, thank you.
Well, despite the grave situation with Iraq, preparations for Inauguration 93 are moving ahead. None of the festivities are being toned down. Carol Jenkins is live in Washington, where President-elect Clinton was reunited today with some familiar faces. Carol?
That's right, Sue. After the fireworks of yesterday, the extravagant display of excitement, today's was a rather intimate affair, a luncheon that Bill Clinton held for people he had met along the campaign trail and who had touched him in some way. But a lot happened to the president-elect before he got to lunch.
Give me a clear sidewalk, guys. Give me a clear sidewalk.
Even though he had been in a late-night Iraqi powwow with military advisors, the president-elect was up and jogging this morning, a practice he says he will continue as president. At Georgetown University, his alma mater, he addressed both students and members of the Washington Diplomatic Corps, an excellent forum for his foreign policy. He reiterated his tough line against Saddam Hussein, but said the rest of the world would have to assume more involvement as the United States turned inward to take care of its own problems.
America cannot and should not bear the world's burdens alone.
A Martin Luther King Jr. celebration at Howard University brought out many African-American leaders, including Illinois Senator Carol Moseley Braun, Clinton appointees Ron Brown, who's going to Commerce, and Mike Espy to Agriculture.
I will try to follow the powerful example of Dr. King's conviction into these new responsibilities. For I know that God did not drop me from a mountaintop. I was born in the valley.
It was an emotional reunion at the Faces of Hope luncheon at the Folger Library. 53 people from 30 states, the Clintons and Gores encountered on the campaign trail that personally moved them, have been invited for the week's festivities, among them several from New York, including hotel waiter Demetrius Theophanis.
I could never have been prepared for the incredible avalanche of experiences that came to me through you and through people like you. There were literally...
Well, on tap tonight, a round of dinners and a special presidential gala. Tomorrow belongs to the children of America. 2 special programs devoted to the impact on them. These, as you know, are Hillary Clinton's special interests, the children. We may see tomorrow what role she plans to play out, as she has said that she is going to take up the plight of the children in this country. Gabe Pressman has been out in a Washington neighborhood today. They have a special interest in Bill Clinton in this neighborhood, don't they, Gabe?
Yes, Carol. Far from the pomp and ceremony, there is this neighborhood where people yearn for a better life, and they wonder whether Bill Clinton's definition of change includes them.
With that faith, I go back to the valley.
They listened to Bill Clinton on a radio at a little outdoor novelty store here on Georgia Avenue today. The president-elect, invoking the memory of Martin Luther King, was preaching his familiar message of inclusion, reunion at nearby Howard University. And in this neighborhood where being unemployed is the norm, amid the for sale signs, abandoned buildings, symbols of hopelessness, there was yet hope.
I like the way he's talking. I like the message that he passes on. So, you know, got to give him a chance, you know.
He's talking about creating more jobs. So if he can do that, that will put more people back to work and off the street, and crime should go down.
Some recall Clinton's visit to Georgia Avenue right after his election. He was challenged that day by one woman in the crowd.
We got to do something about the kids that are being killed along these same alleys. You know, we know
what do you think we should do?
What you got to do is we need jobs early.
Today, most folks around here were willing to give the new president a chance.
I'm just saying I just like to see the country get better. You know, it's kind of rough out here. It's kind of hard.
I think he'll really try to do more than the Republicans did.
And if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, it's just like one president after another. They promise, but they don't do nothing.
Okay. Bill Clinton has promised to include everybody in his new vision of a harmonious, peaceful, prosperous America. And although some are skeptical, most of the folks we talk to on Georgia Avenue are hoping for better times. Carol?
Gabe Pressman and Carol Jenkins live in Washington. Thank you.
All right. I guess we weren't really going to Carol there, evidently. A history-making day across America today, the first time in all 50 states officially recognized Martin Luther King today. And nowhere was the tribute more inspiring than inside Atlanta's Ebenezer Baptist Church, the home congregation of the slain civil rights leader. Before a packed church of grassroots workers and famous civil rights activists, his widow, Coretta Scott King, called on the nation's new leaders to bring about an era of peace and racial harmony. Mrs. King told the crowd that racism has been on the rise in the past few years, and in Denver, the Ku Klux Klan chose this day to hold a demonstration.
For some people today was a work day, but near Chicago, the morning rush hour turned tragic when 2 commuter trains struck head-on. The crash occurred in Gary, Indiana. A 2-car train was eastbound out of Chicago. 3 cars were running westbound from South Bend. At a narrow trestle, they sideswiped each other. Officials say the sharp metal peeled like a tin can, so sharp that some victims were decapitated. 7 passengers lost their lives, 69 were injured. One survivor said the impact was followed by a shower of broken glass. It's now up to federal investigators to figure out what happened and why.
Well, Joey Buttafuoco becomes a target as we continue tonight on News 4 at 6. A bullet tore into a window of Joey's auto body shop.
The underground bunker where Katie Beers was chained is brought to the surface. And the death toll grows in Southern California, where record rainfall causes flooding and mudslides.
With over 1,200 affiliated doctors of optometry, no one cares for your eyes more than Pearl. Call 1-800-YES-EYES for locations and details.
Light. It is the first element of creation. Nothing brings it more elegantly or shapes it more beautifully than Andersen windows and patio doors. Come, live in the light of Andersen windows. Come home to Andersen.
Someone may have been sending a message to Joey Buttafuoco this morning. It came in the form of a bullet through his auto body shop window. Buttafuoco, husband of Amy Fisher's shooting victim Mary Jo, had little to say about it today. Police say the bullet came through an office window shortly after 7 o'clock this morning, and that Buttafuoco's father got an anonymous phone call.
Last night, Mr. Casper Buttafuoco received a telephone call at his home threatening a member of the family. And this morning, after opening the shop, Merrick Road in Baldwin, someone did fire a shot through the front window of the building.
Police say the Buttafuocos told them they were working in the shop at the time and didn't hear the gunshot. The bullet struck a picture on the wall in the shop's office.
In another quarter of Long Island, excavation crews have dug up the underground vault that served as a prison for little Katie Beers. Roger Stern is live at the house where detectives are still digging for answers. Roger?
That's right, Chuck, and if you look behind, you'll see the backyard of the Esposito house, and as we zoom our picture in real tight there, you can see that temporary fencing and the hole, all that's left of the police excavation. And you can imagine the horror of what was inside it. With a crane set up in the backyard, police removed the bunker that served as Katie's dungeon for 16 days. You can see the hatch that connected this room to an underground passageway. Next to the hatch was a ventilation pipe. Keep in mind as you look at it that for much of her captivity, Katie was chained inside a coffin-like box inside this room. And the whole structure was underground, accessible by a 7-foot shaft covered by a block of cement. As police searched the ground with metal detectors looking for other clues, workers removed the box so someday jurors can examine it if John Esposito goes on trial.
We're going to take it out by flatbed out to the property yard out in Yaphank, where we'll probably preserve this for evidence.
Meaning a jury might walk through this or see this?
It'd be up to the district attorney's office, but I believe that's part of the intention.
Suffolk DA James Catterson examined the site but wouldn't comment on reports that Katie's brother John knew about the existence of a secret room, something John denied last week in an interview with News 4 producer Peter Fassini.
Did you know about that bunker that he had? You didn't know about it?
I didn't know nothing about it.
He never showed you? He never took you there?
No.
Meanwhile, the Esposito house has become a macabre tourist attraction. This group of parents and 7 youngsters stopped off here on their way to a visit to a nearby park.
We want just to tell them that it's not only strangers that they have to be afraid of, be careful of. They have to be careful with even friends.
Well, though, for those who want to follow this case, there will be more developments this week, including a grand jury investigation which could return additional charges against John Esposito later this week, perhaps as early as tomorrow. Reporting live from Bayshore, Roger Stern, News 4 Long Island. Chuck and Sue?
All right, Roger, thank you. Katie Beers is still being held in protective custody at an undisclosed location. And coming up as we continue for you on News 4 at 6 this evening, rare torrential rains turned deadly in Southern California with floods and mudslides. And Ira Joe is going to be here with our own weather preview.
That's right, Chuck. Our weather's already turned cold. Will it be cruel? Stay tuned. We'll have your forecast straight ahead.
No.
Brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection.
Super Bowl 18, Marcus Allen of the Raiders averages 9.6 yards a carry, but does not break the record for highest average gain rushing in a game held by what player? The answer after this message.
Imagine for a moment a performance car
One with a 4-cam, 32-valve, 250 horsepower V8. Any names come to mind?
Super Bowl III. Tom Matte of the Baltimore Colts rushes an average 10.5 yards each time he has the ball, setting the all-time record for highest average gain rushing in a Super Bowl. For Tom Matte, a page in the Super Bowl record book.
How can I get money to fix my home?
Call 1-800-282-BANK.
How in the world will I pay for college?
Call 1-800-282-BANK.
How can I possibly afford a new car?
Call 1-800-282-BANK. For a fast, low-cost loan for just about anything, call on United Jersey.
United Jersey, the fast-moving bank.
Save money by refinancing your car loan now. Call for details.
How can Healthy Choice glazed chicken give you less and more? By creating a whole new way of cooking. We don't merely give you less fat. We select more tender breast meat for more delicious taste. And we don't just give you less salt. We add our own unique blend of herbs and spices for more flavor. Healthy Choice glazed chicken. One more way we give you more. Healthy Choice. Never settle for less.
A string of powerful storms is still battering Los Angeles and the rest of Southern California, and more heavy rain is predicted. At least 6 people have died as the result of the storms, and property damage is now estimated in the millions. Most of the damage is being caused by rapidly rising water, which has left many businesses caught off guard, their stores flooded and covered with mud. It is a big mess in California.
I don't ever believe seeing a highway chunked away. I mean, there was
just that erosion. Yeah.
Just boom.
Undermining the thing, and there it goes.
Well, our weather certainly is much calmer, and we have a high-pressure ridge, which is a kind of boring weather phenomenon. Well, okay, I shall. Suzanne, thank you for asking. First of all, we go outside and think about our temperature, which is the same as it was an hour ago. It's 29. The sky is clear. Winds have diminished a little bit. They're down to 5 miles an hour. Still, though, out of the northwest, relative humidity is 47%, and our barometer rises 30.43 inches. It's centered over the Great Lakes. It's a high-pressure ridge, and it's responsible for our clear skies and also for the northwest winds and the colder temperatures. Right now, temperatures have dropped a few degrees around the tri-state, and they look exactly like this. 20s. We have 30 degrees at LaGuardia, and at JFK it's 31 in Newark, but Morristown's checking in with 29, and you see consistently even Atlantic City's down to 28. 38 was our high in Central Park, 25 the low, and we're going to see much colder temperatures tonight, falling way back into the lower teens. I never know what to call 11 or 12 or 10, frankly. They're not teens till you get to 30. Double digits. Anyway, winds are out of the northwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. They'll diminish in velocity a little bit later on. In the morning, northwest at 8 to 12 miles an hour, and we will have temperatures, some of which will be in the teens and some of which will be in those that we don't know what they are, but the temperatures that start with 1. And preteens, there you go. And we're going to have lots of sunshine in the morning and tomorrow, but not much warmth from it. Look, temperatures will rise only into the 20s and low 30s. The northwest wind is why at 8 to 12 miles an hour. Here's your 5-day forecast, calling for mostly sunny tomorrow and completely cold. 31 will be the high. Wednesday, 40 and sunshine here in New York City, and on the Capitol steps in Washington, D.C., it'll be sunny also, probably 42, 43 degrees. Thursday, partly cloudy and 44. Cloudy on Friday with a chance of rain in the city, 46 degrees. And Saturday, we'll have variable clouds. High temperature, 43 degrees. Additionally, our lows are going to be in those teens and 20s, but come the weekend, we'll talk about lows in the 20s and 30s. Well, that's our forecast.
Isn't 11 and 12 preteen?
I guess they are preteen, yes, right. So I guess single digits are toddler temperatures. You're right, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. All right, we're going to check in now with Len for a preview of what's ahead in sports this evening.
I'm still trying to figure out what they're going to call next decade, because you have the 80s, the 90s, what do you have, the O's? The aughts?
The aughts.
We got to figure this one out, too. Coming up, the Knicks and Suns at the Garden as the Knicks try to shake their slump against the NBA's best team. Dallas savoring its first Super Bowl in 13 years. Buffalo pulls the hat trick, facing yet another NFC East team. And your first tennis highlights of the year. Something to shout about next in sports.
machines for every muscle, every angle, every curve. Make your resolution a reality. Only $24 a month at Bally's. Call 1-800-WORKOUT.
What's clear? Crystal clear Amoco Ultimate. What isn't? All other premium gasolines. What's clear? Amoco Ultimate is the only premium refined and extra step to remove harmful impurities. Harmful impurities you as a premium user don't want. What's clear? Why we do it. For unsurpassed performance and a cleaner environment. Crystal clear Amoco Ultimate.
He was a rapper who made millions. Then he blew it.
I can't believe it. I just made a mistake.
Now he's a big-time TV star. Maybe the next Bill Cosby. Find out why Fresh Prince is not going to blow it again this week in TV Guide. Also, get a look at the TV wizardry of tomorrow. Plus, get kid show reviews, soap opera updates, and other features no newspaper listing offers. Only this week. Only in TV Guide.
A lot of people ask me if they can really afford the quality of a Buick, Jim.
I bet they're surprised when you get done with them, huh?
Well, yeah. I tell them they can drive a Buick Century for around $260 per month.
And that's equipped with power steering, power brakes, power door locks, AM/FM stereo, a big V6, and an airbag.
Right, and tilt steering and automatic transmission. You know the list goes on, all for around $260 per month, and with no money down, Jim.
And don't forget, Joe, Century is the safest family sedan on the road.
Test drive a Buick Century. At $263 a month, it's quality you can definitely afford.
It's been an exciting couple of days in sports.
Yeah, absolutely. Football, well, at least I thought the second game, obviously, a lot more exciting than the first. But first, the Knicks taking on the NBA's best at the Garden. A strong fourth quarter. They beat Phoenix today, 106-103. It looked like a Phoenix blowout in the first half. Danny Ainge for 3, had 23. Suns led by 12. But Ewing, after a dreadful start, heating up. He had 18 by halftime, and it was tied at 51. Now fourth quarter, a minute 21 remaining. Tom Chambers. That tied it at 99, but the biggest shot of the day, Ewing, after a couple of misses, goes for the tough angle shot, hits it. That was a three-point Knick lead. Now, Charles Barkley, who had 27 for the tie. He thinks he's fouled here. Shot short. Knicks win by 3, and as a result of Barkley thinking he's fouled, he then jumps the scorer's table. He goes after the officials, and then he followed them down into the locker room area, arguing with them. A sideshow to the main event. Of course, the big story, the Knicks coming back from their slump to beat Phoenix by 3.
Hopefully it's the spark that we need to get back on another run. The way that we played tonight should definitely help build our confidence.
And Barkley said afterwards, the refs told him he would be fined because of his comments. Barkley said, they can't control me with money. I've got more than everybody in this locker room put together. Yeah. The Nets hosting Indiana tonight. Elsewhere in holiday NBA action this afternoon in Philadelphia, Shaquille O'Neal for Orlando had 38 points, 16 rebounds, 8 block shots, and he lost. Look at this. Manute Bol comes down, and then he blocks Shaquille O'Neal. Quite a sight. Philadelphia won in overtime, 124-118, and Chicago beat Boston today, 103-93. So can the Cowboys be stopped? Yeah. Group here says absolutely. Most people figure Dallas is the pick since the NFC never loses the Super Bowl. I loved this catch by Alvin Harper, taking it away from Eric Davis. What a star Harper was yesterday. I thought that drive, late third, early fourth, was the telling moment. The 49ers just couldn't stop the Cowboys from eating up the clock and scoring Emmitt Smith. And, of course, when the 49ers got within 4, the very first play, Troy Aikman to Harper once again. This one busted open for good on this play. Harper carrying the Cowboys all the way to Pasadena. And the Bills have the dubious distinction of having a chance to lose their 3rd straight Super Bowl to 3 different NFC East teams, which means, of course, next year's Super Bowl, Buffalo against Philadelphia. So it is very easy to root for the Bills to win. This Buffalo special teams really is tremendous. Mike Williams coughing up the second half kickoff,
and that was the beginning of the end for the Miami Dolphins. Then, really the big play, Thurman Thomas fumbling. Marco Coleman for Miami makes the mistake. Instead of falling on it, he tries to pick it up and run with it. He then fumbles. Buffalo recovered, and it was really lights out for Miami, although they were never in the game. I think Buffalo has a lot better chance than most people figure. Remember, they should have beaten the Giants 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. Yes, they got blown out last year. This year will not be a blowout. Buffalo, of course, the sentimental choice here at News 4. The Australian Open underway, the first of the Grand Slam tennis events against Gloria Pizzacchini of Italy. Gloria tries a short shot here. Nah. So she tries a shorter shot. And no, that the one doesn't work here. Monaco winning it in straight sets in Australia. That's sports.
Miami's receivers dropped a lot of stuff yesterday.
Oh, Miami had an awful.
Had a bad day.
No.
Thanks, man. They lost.
Still ahead tonight on News 4 at 6, a preview of the glittering inaugural events scheduled for tonight. Ira Joe said they lost.
Your stomach better, so you better make it Maalox.
The inauguration social whirl swings into high gear tonight in Washington. Here are some of the events we'll tell you about at 11. Tonight at the Capitol Center, the American Gala, a rehearsal for tomorrow night's presidential gala. Only ticket holders will be admitted, and they have to bring a can of food for the homeless. And the round of inaugural dinners begins. 4 of them will be held tonight, starting right about now. Tomorrow, there will be a governor's luncheon, a salute to children, and the presidential gala. All that leading up to the swearing-in ceremony and the inaugural parade. News 4's Carol Jenkins and Gabe Pressman, of course, will be there for us.
We look forward to that.